Hey everybody, this is Anthony. That's Will. We're here with A.W.O Comics. Next top 10 video, Willie Mo. And this week we're going to be doing our top 10 comic monsters.
Hooray!
Got any thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, I love Spooky Month. I love monsters. I love anything that's in a horror movie or in something that's horror in general.
Right.
So doing horror monsters is a pretty interesting topic for me.
Well, and this will probably be our last spooky
This is our last.
Until next season. So we better enjoy it while we can. So we will be right back, right after this, with our top 10 comic monsters.
Whoa!
Alright guys, we're back with our top 10 video beginning Willie Mo. I always like to ask you, how's your week been so far?
My week's been pretty great actually.
Did y'all enjoy that rainy practice you had today?
Brother, I thought I was going to get hypothermia.
He was coming home like, give me some clothes, Dad. I said, did y'all practice outside? He said, yeah.
It was freezing. The wind was like, you just get this in your head. Rain is falling down at ton by like the cat and dogs outside, yeah. And there's wind blowing at like 50 miles per hour.
I doubt it was 50 miles.
It wasn't that, but it felt like it.
Coach Patrick going hardcore on y'all at the end of the year. Y'all got a big game.
We got a senior night
tomorrow night. I know it's senior night, but also y'all playing for region championship, right?
Yep. Even though honestly we've had a pretty mid year.
Well,
it ain't been the best, but it ain't been bad.
You can pull it out of the fire with a win tomorrow night.
All right.
Well, y'all still gonna make playoffs, right?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what happens in this game. This is just for a region title, which of course we would love to win, but we're already in the playoffs already. So.
All right. Let's get started with our top 10, and you think it's my turn to go first this time?
Yes.
So I will start us off with number 5, and it is going to be Godzilla.
All right.
The classic Japanese monster, Godzilla, first made his appearance in Marvel Comics in 1977 with Godzilla number 1. I think it ran for like 24 issues. Of course, Godzilla got his start in Japan. He was a big movie monster star over there as they kind of capitalized off the success that King Kong had over there when it went overseas and started doing monster movies over there. And I think he was actually a creation of the atomic bomb that hit Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It was inspired by it.
It was inspired by that. It was like the radiation created this monster. They made tons of movies over there. They were shown here in the U.S. And subtitled. And
the first few movies looked like they got Power Rangers budget.
And then Godzilla, he became pretty popular in Japan, and then he was brought over here. They finally got him in comics. Comics Code Authority had a lot with him being so late coming into comics in 1977. But then they kind of loosened the restraints a little bit, and it ran for like 24 issues, I think, and then it picked back up in Dark Horse Comics in 1987. And since then, Marvel has reacquired the licenses for Godzilla and King Kong, and you're starting to see now a lot more superheroes versus King Kong and Godzilla titles. I think there's a Godzilla versus Spider-Man, a Godzilla versus Fantastic Four. There's a bunch of them, so it's been a pretty successful monster in the monster realm of comics.
Well, that was a very good number 5. But my number 5 is a pretty forgotten monster no one talks about. But he's probably one of my favorite Brave and the Bold characters. Etrigan the Demon. And his first appearance was in The Demon number 1. Which came out in 1972 and was published by DC. What I like about Etrigan was his backstory was pretty crazy because he was apparently a knight in Camelot when King Arthur was king. Mm-hmm. And Merlin had apparently merged him with a demon and gave him demon powers, which basically gave him immortality. And his name was, I'm pretty sure Jason Blood is his name.
Okay.
And he was a knight.
If that's not his name, we'll correct it on the screen.
No, it's Jason Blood, I'm very sure. But Jason Blood, he was a knight. Merlin merged him with like demon powers or a demon and made him Etrigon the Demon, which if he hears some words, he'll turn into Etrigon. Or if he says a certain rhyme, that's what it was. But he lived through Camelot. He was made to bring good to Camelot and protect Camelot. But of course, y'all know if Camelot falls, if you know the King Arthur story. But he lived for years and years, and he meets Batman, and he meets all the DC heroes and stuff in Brave and the Bold. There's even an episode in Brave and the Bold where Batman goes back to King Arthur times.
Right.
And Etrigon's in that episode, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I remember Etrigon being in a lot of Brave and Bold episodes, not just the first one. I remember him being in quite a few of them, so he's a pretty interesting character and a Jack Kirby creation, as you said, I'm sure.
Yes, he is. Jack Kirby creation.
Yeah. When Jack Kirby came over to DC, I will add this, he was given a lot more freedom of creation, creative rights and stuff, and he came up with these like Demon and Commandy and the Forever People and the New Gods. So, and Forever People spawned Darkseid as a Jack Kirby creation. So, and he's one of the biggest characters in DC. So, his shadow stretches long and wide on some of the stuff that he did at DC is really good.
All right, what's your number 4?
Number 4 is Man Thing, and I've talked about Man Thing before being one of my favorite. Man Thing, also known as Ted Sallis, first appearance in Savage Tales #1, 1972. Ted Sallis, if you don't know his backstory, he was a scientist. He was working with a team of scientists, or so he thought he was working with a team of scientists that were trying to recreate the super soldier serum that created Captain America. But then as they got further along in the serum, he found out he wasn't working for the people that he thought he was. He was working with some terrorists that were trying to create a serum for their own personal gain to create like an evil type soldier. So he stole the serum, and they shot him as he was leaving to get away from them. And he was running in through the swamps, and he was bleeding out pretty bad. So he decided to take the serum right as he was falling into a boggy swamp water, and the serum combined with the plant life in the swamps changed him into Man Thing. And as Man Thing, he became a powerful monster that could sense fear in anyone. If he touched them, they would burn. He's almost invincible. He can create other bodies of himself. He can absorb other bodies into himself. He's a very, very powerful monster now. And I think he controls the Netherlands, the Nether Realm now in the Marvel Comics universe.
Yeah, he basically guards the multiverse, or what controls the multiverse, which...
A lot of his solo series didn't last long, but he has lived on in a lot of animations, and he was had a guest appearance, of course, in the Werewolf by Night mini movie. And he's a very good character. I'm a big fan of the Man Thing's backstory.
Here's the thing: you got to put like maybe in the top left a yawn corner for me, or a yawn counter for me, because I have yawned like 4 times already, and I just can't go without saying I have. You just got to put it up there.
The yawn counter. # Willie Moe yawn counter. All right, Yanni. Hurry up and let's get this done so you can go to sleep.
I ain't sleepy. I just yawn a lot. My number 4 is Morbius. His first appearance is Amazing Spider-Man number 101, of course. And he came out in 1971 and was published by Marvel. And Morbius is an interesting character because he was touched up on in the Morbius movie, which people didn't really like the Morbius movie. I'm pretty surprised about that because it was a well-wanted movie. It was a villain that was being brought back to life pretty much. And people just didn't like it, I guess. I don't know what was wrong with it. I thought it was a good movie. Mm-hmm. But Morbius was, and how Morbius became a vampire was he had this little blood disease. He had a blood disease, and he was a scientist. You notice a pattern with some of these monsters. They were
Yeah.
always some kind of scientist.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was researching vampire bats and realized he could use vampire bat DNA maybe to fix his blood disease or possibly cure it. So he was working on that, and he used vampire bat DNA into an injection he got, and it went horribly wrong and turned him into a vampire. And he's kind of an anti-hero now. He was a villain, if I can remember right, Dad.
Yes,
He was just a villain, but now I think he's more of an anti-hero right now. But he's a pretty cool character. I mean, he's probably one of my favorite vampire characters in DC. I mean, you've got the Dracula, but I don't really care about him. I like Morbius.
Well, he falls along the lines of the Man Thing because he didn't really have a very long successful solo series. I think he started his first solo appearances in Adventure into Fear, I believe. Number 20, I believe, was his first appearance. Stop yawning. Anyway, he had some solo shots in that, and there's some different solo shots in Legion of Monsters magazine. But he never was really successful. But he's been a successful, supporting character and a guest character in a lot of these other comics, and went on to be in the Midnight Suns when it was formed later on in the '90s, and just finally had a movie made about him. And if you had a movie, you're actually a pretty big character in Marvel. So that's a pretty good thing.
I don't know why people didn't like it that much. It's a really
a lot of people just like stuff to stay true to the comics, and I think because there were no
wasn't
other
just
characters.
The critics, because there was people going online saying, if you ever seen a bad movie, please refer to Morbius. I mean, I don't.
There were no other characters in the movie really with him, other superhero.
Well,
characters.
they did have a after credit scene, which they said they're not going to elaborate on, which I'm really upset about that.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I was hoping there would be more insight to that, but they're not even going to introduce Morbius to Spider-Man, probably.
All right. Well, my number 3 is, of course, y'all know one of my favorite characters, Werewolf by Night.
Only number 3.
Yeah, you'll find out because I kind of ranked mine power-wise and favorites combined. Even though Werewolf by Night is probably not more powerful than Man Thing or Godzilla, but he's one of my favorites. I had to kind of put him in the middle there. But Jack Russell, first appearance, Marvel Spotlight number 2, which we talked about, came out in 1972. And again, Werewolf by Night started as a character in the 50s. Comics Code Authority, at that time Marvel, which was Atlas, was planning on possibly making him a monthly character, but with the Comics Code Authority coming in, it was going to be hard to push werewolves because they were trying to put away all the Draculas and vampires and werewolves and monsters and stuff like that, and wanted it to become a little bit tamer. So they shelved Werewolf by Night after the one issue, and he was brought back in 1972, almost 20 years to the day. And Jack Russell was basically a descendant of lycanthropy. His dad was, some of his ancestors, I don't know if it was his dad in specific, got a hold of the Darkhold. They brought back Dracula, and he cursed them with lycanthropy, and throughout their family, when you turn 18, you become a werewolf. All the male species become werewolves. And once he became the werewolf, he really couldn't control it, but he learned how to control it as the years went on. And again, he's another one. His solo series ran 43 issues, but since then he's been brought back in numerous solo series. He's been in guest appearances on stuff. He's had a mini movie made about him. So he's been a pretty successful character throughout the years, and he's just always been one of my favorites. I like the Werewolf by Night.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach Patrick. I'm still getting the shivers over here. I don't know if anyone else saw it, but I was literally shaking a few times during that because of how cold I was.
Are you sick? Are you getting sick, man?
No, I'm just cold.
Well, just try to warm up there.
All right. Well, My number 3 is Solomon Grundy. And it came, first appearance was in All American Comics number 61, which is interesting because his first appearance was not in a Batman comic or nothing related to Batman. He was actually a Green Lantern villain. And this comic came out in 1944 and was published by DC. Now, this book goes for tons of money, $50,000 to be exact.
Wow.
But Solomon Grundy is an interesting character, which I don't know what he was when he was a Green Lantern villain.
He was a zombie, wasn't he?
He's still a zombie.
Yeah, he's a zombie, I believe.
Because of course, you can't kill him, which Batman's tough. In my opinion, he's Batman's toughest villain he's ever fought because you can't really get rid of him. The only way you can get rid of him is locking him up again.
Yeah.
Which Batman doesn't have any problem with doing that because he doesn't kill people.
Right.
But I feel pretty sure any of the heroes that actually kill people, like I don't know, Jason Todd, he'd probably have a hard time.
So what was a little bit of Solomon Grundy's backstory? Did you get any of that?
Yeah, I actually do have a few things about that.
Okay.
Solomon Grundy's backstory, this actually goes back to in the 90s, or in the 80s, actually. He was walking the street, there was a thief walking the streets one day, and he was rich, he had a bunch of money and everything. He fell into this water he tripped into this pool, this swamp, you could say. And it had a bunch of chemicals and stuff. And nobody uncovered his body until years later, which the only thing he became this big monster, gray monster. And only thing he could remember is the old rhyme Solomon Grundy.
Right.
So then these people that found him captured him and put him in basically cruel experiments and stuff. Which is why he's the angry zombie you know today. Right. He would have been a good person if these people didn't torture him. So there, you keep that in mind. He would never been a villain.
Right.
But it's kind of sad to see how Solomon Grundy became a villain, knowing that he would have never became one if he didn't have any cruel experiments put on him. Right. But yeah, Solomon Grundy's a pretty cool character. And if you don't know, he does have a boss fight in Arkham City, which he's a pretty cool boss fight in my opinion. They did his character design really well, and he looks ugly as crap. Yeah. And I actually raged a few times fighting him when on the hardest difficulty. Anyway, that's it for me. What's your number 2?
All right. Well, number 2 for me is the Incredible Hulk.
Wow, Incredible Hulk at number 2.
Yeah, and his first appearance, of course, was in Hulk number 1, 1962. And everybody probably knows Hulk's backstory. Dr. Bruce Banner was working as a scientist on a top secret bomb. They were calling it the G-bomb. And as they were getting ready to do a test on the G-bomb, they saw on their monitor screens there was a young teenage boy out there right where they were going to do their testing, had fell asleep out there. So Bruce Banner runs out there as they're doing the countdown and tries to save the boy, but in the process, he absorbs the explosion and the gamma rays that came with the explosion. So obviously the G-bomb stood for the gamma bomb.
Of course.
And the same gamma rays that
Isn't the gamma bomb just a nuclear bomb?
No, the gamma rays are the same thing that transformed the Fantastic Four and gave them their powers.
I thought the Fantastic Four got their powers by traveling to another
and they were exposed to gamma rays.
Okay, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah. But anyway, the same gamma rays that did that to them actually turned him into a monster, a Hulk-like monster, where at first he lost his intelligence. He could still talk a little bit, but it gave him superhuman strength, almost invincible. Bullets couldn't penetrate his skin. And
it's basically an alternate personality.
The first issue he started out, he was actually gray. He was supposed to be a gray monster, much like Solomon Grundy is. But they had a lot of trouble with the ink work in Marvel Comics, so they decided, and making gray was not easy. So they decided to make him green, starting with.
They actually made him gray again for a long amount of time in the Incredible Hulk series, but then they made him green again.
Right. Hulk has come on to be one of the greatest Marvel characters, one of the most popular Marvel characters through the years. it's kind of funny to think that back in the 60s, they actually stopped his magazine after so long, and he started appearing in Tales to Astonish. And then they picked back up Tales to Astonish and just renamed it The Hulk. I believe that's right. And kept his own magazine from like maybe, I don't know how many issues it was, but I don't remember where it started. It was, I think, in the hundreds. But they started numbering him out again in his own magazine. And of course, he's had several volumes since then, lots of trade
Well,
paperbacks, movies, the whole nine
we
yards.
have got a new version of Hulk this year.
Yeah.
Which there's different versions of Hulk. We've got a new version of Hulk this year.
Yeah.
And that's Infinity Hulk.
Yeah.
If you know him. And it's basically Hulk when he absorbs all the Infinity Stones power, which he can do.
Which you saw this in Marvel Zombies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a new form of Hulk. And people are saying that Hulk was probably the most powerful in Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Because they said that he's gotten all the Infinity Stones power plus the gamma radiation, which apparently buffs their power by 50-time multiplier. Which, that's like horrendous. That is not, I can't even think about how it's like to go against. Which you saw his power in Marvel Zombies.
Right.
He was wiping out entire waves of zombies by just waving his hand.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my number 2. And so, what is your number 2, William?
My number 2 is, speaking of zombies, Zombie Spider-Man. Which, this specifically, just because I love Spider-Man, and just seeing him as a zombie is kind of horrifying, in my opinion. Well, anyway.
If you see anybody as a zombie, it's pretty horrifying. What do you think?
Yeah. I know, but like if you see a guy with superpowers with zombies, that's a zombie. That's more horrifying.
Yeah.
But you've just talk about all the Marvel zombies. But he's appeared in Ultimate Fantastic Four number 22, which was the first appearance of like a lot of Marvel zombies or zombie turned superheroes. Came out in 2005 and was published by Marvel. And Zombie Spider-Man is kind of actually very disturbing because there is a comic out there where it just talks about Marvel Spider-Man being a zombie. And he's going around killing all these people and eating them. He's ate a few of his villains already. And I'm pretty sure he ate Mary Jane at this point. And Sandman is like on guard because he's seen him eat all these villains, and he's like scared out of his mind that he's gonna kill him, so he's just been hiding out. The real Spider-Man from it, like the actual Spider-Man, apparently this Spider-Man was just a clone, came in and was asking Sandman what's wrong, and Sandman didn't know if he was a zombie or not, and he just killed him.
Oh, goodness.
He went through the inside. It's disturbing. Don't put it up here. But he goes basically in his mouth as sand and just burst him from the inside. And it's like probably the most horrifying and disturbing cover I've ever seen in a comic. Or panels I've seen in a comic.
Yeah.
But that's basically Marvel Spider-Man. Zombie Spider-Man. He made villains so paranoid, or a villain so paranoid, he killed the actual Spider-Man. And it made me think, why didn't he just do that in the beginning?
Right.
If he could just do that, why didn't he just do that in the beginning?
Right.
But they always made Zombie Spider-Man was probably one of the worst zombies in the whole apocalypse.
Well, sometimes you don't know what you're capable of until you get scared so bad that
Did I tell you when Otto Octavius took over Spider-Man's body at one point for a long time, and he punched Scorpion, and he was being Spider-Man for a while? He punched his jaw clean off.
No, I'm not.
Like, his jaw was just gone, and he didn't realize how much Spider-Man was holding back against him.
Yeah.
And he was like, how did he not kill all of us with this kind of power? But anyway, you can do your number 1 now.
All right. Well, my number 1 is probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful being in the DC universe, and that is Doomsday. And Doomsday...
More powerful than Man-Thing?
Yeah, possibly. Doomsday comes... his first cameo was in Man of Steel number 17. His first full appearance, Man of Steel number 18 in 1992. But his backstory was his father, Bertrand, created him from a test tube because he was obsessed with creating a creature that could survive any environment and cheat death. When he arrived on Krypton, Krypton was roamed by all kinds of monsters and stuff. It was really before it was civilized. So he wanted to create a creature that could survive all that. And in doing so, so many of the different subjects that he created died. And he brought them back to life, Bertrand did, just doing different scientific techniques and stuff. And so finally, he perfected his subject, and the person, the creature, did learn to survive through all that, and wound up learning how to kill and learning how to hate. He eventually went on. Once he got he had so much hatred in him by the time he was able to get old enough to be able to kind of think for himself, that he hated his own creator, Bertrand. So he killed his father. Later on, in his travels, he somehow wound up on the planet Colton, and he was killed by a guy by the name of Radiant, who was just an energy source. And they shackled him, and they were going to bury him as the custom was, but because he had committed so many murders on that planet, they shot him off into space. And guess what? Guess where he wound up?
Earth.
On Earth. And after so many years, he awoke, and that's where the Doomsday.
But I thought you said he got killed.
Well, he because his father, the way he created him to cheat death, he could always come back to life.
Oh.
So he could never truly die. So when he got back, he came to Earth, he awakened and got one of his arms loose and broke out of his shell coffin that they had him in, and that's when he fought the entire Justice League with one arm and defeated them with one arm. And once he did that, Superman came, and then you had the famous fight between him and Superman, which he kills Superman, and so on and so forth. But that's the deal now. And now in today's universe, he is actually a minion of Darkseid, and he's a lot more intelligent now, and he travels through different dimensions for telling the future and stuff. And he plays a huge part in this new DCKO series. But he's not the same Doomsday that you knew from the 90s. He looks a lot different now. He's a little bit smaller and a lot more intelligent.
Well, Doomsday was the one that Superman was seeing when he was injected with pure fear toxin.
Yeah.
And Injustice.
So. Well, one of the things that they said, the reason why he had so much hatred, why he wanted to kill Superman, is because when he was on Krypton and he battled so many monsters and died at so many hands of monsters and was brought back to life, he developed such a hatred for anything that's Kryptonian. And he also developed a sense of being able to sense any kind of Kryptonian that's around him. So when he woke up on Earth, Superman was the only Kryptonian at that time, I guess, that he could see. And that's why he was really wanting to kill him. You know?
Well, they threw hands. They were sending each other flying through Metropolis. Yeah. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
But
they almost killed. Well, really, they killed each other. You know.
Yeah, they traded because I'm pretty sure Superman ripped that heart out he had.
Yeah.
Which apparently, I don't know how I guess it shut off the way he could cheat death or something because he just died.
Well, I think they both came back to life after that.
Well, where did Doomsday go?
Well, that's why I said, he's a Darkseid's minion now, but I don't know the whole story after that.
Well, Superman came back to life probably because the sun rays hit him and it just brought him back.
Yeah.
But my number one is Man-Bat, which first appearance in Detective Comics number 400 and came out in 1970 and published by DC. Man-Bat's interesting because, again, another scientist. He was trying to develop a cure, a little bit like Morbius, develop a cure with bat blood, with vampire bat blood.
Right.
And he ended up injecting himself, of course, with blood, and it ended up turning him into a giant bat, which is why he looks like Man-Bat now. And It's actually, I've always found it funny, Batman versus Man Bat, because they're just it's just his name rearranged.
Right.
But yeah, that was a pretty good fight because Batman would always have to like try to find ways to bring him down because Man Bat could fly and he'd have to pull him down somehow, and they had pretty good fights in the DC universe.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. Is that it for you?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, that's our top 10 for this week. I'm not sure how long we went, but if we went too long, we'll try to cut it down next time. But before we do go, we want to ask everyone to please, if you like our content, subscribe, hit the like button, smash the notification button, and hype us up, right? Because we want to be hyped, right?
Yeah.
But also, one more important thing is this. If you don't know, if you've been under a rock for the past 3 or 4 days, we're doing our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. And speaking of monsters, man, we're giving away an awesome monster book.
Yep.
Werewolf by Night number one. And it's a really nice one, too. And all you got to do to be entered in our drawing that's going to happen this coming Saturday, November the 1st, is comment on our video that we released Sunday. And I'll put a picture of the video up on the screen here so you'll know exactly which one it is. I'll put a picture of the thumbnail. But comment on that video. That's all you got to do. And you're entered in. And Owen will draw out the winner on Saturday night. And we will have a winner. And somebody's going to get a nice book.
Well, speaking of
Pay
that,
for you to miss out on that.
Speaking of that, let's look over here and see what the yawn counter was. Yikes. I yawn too much. Ugh.
The yawn counter. All right, guys. Well, listen, we appreciate you guys watching. And again, we will see you Saturday. Make sure you tune in to see who wins this awesome book. And check out our next comic haul. So we'll see you guys then. Everybody stay safe rest of the week.
Video game of the day.
Oh, yeah. I always forget about that. What's the video
Resident
game?
Evil 2.
Well, that's a pretty
Go
good
play
one
it.
That's a pretty good one.
Speaking of
video.
monsters, by the way.
Yeah.
Mr. X
and zombies and all that.
Mr. X is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the game of the day. All right, we're done.
All right, guys. Well, anyway, have a great rest of the week. We'll see you this weekend sometime. Stay safe. Everybody have a good, safe Halloween, too. See you. And as always, go Dogs.
Bye.